Hey, what's up, all you freaks and disasters? It's your guy to the 21st century, Nate Houseman. Today is Sunday, March 2nd. I think tonight's Oscar night, and people are saying, hey, maybe we're going to see the Epstein list tonight. Wouldn't that be a wouldn't that be a sight to see? You know, wasn't Thursday such a debacle? You know, this topic we're going to talk about today, the whole Zelensky debacle, that's enough to make you forget the Epstein flub by Pam Bondi, by Attorney General Pam Bondi. Well, I've got some thoughts about that. That's going to be a separate video. And if we see anything tonight, I'm going to dedicate a whole video to the Epstein saga. But we got to talk about what happened Friday in the White House between Ukraine's alleged president Zelensky and America's real president Trump. So if you find this content valuable, I want you to give it a like on whatever platform you're watching this on, either YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Kick. I want you to share it with your friends and loved ones, and I want you to subscribe or give me a follow. And I'm here for you. And if you find this, like I said, if you find this content valuable and you want to support the program, I've got several ways to do that. I have a locals page, and I just uploaded an epic 2-hour exclusive video on locals the other day about RFK and the MAHA agenda, the Make America Healthy Again agenda. Got lots of really good stuff on there. Lots of really good tweets I went over, and lots of good, advice about how to deal with the COVID injection, chemtrails, what have you. I'm really pleased with it. So if you want to join my locals page and become a paid member for $5 a month, that's all. You can be part of a growing community. And I got other ways to support the program if you want. I have a referral program with Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee is you may have heard of Black Rifle Coffee. They are like supposedly conservative and patriots. They have been debunked. But Blackout Coffee is the real deal. They are supporters of the Second Amendment. They're supporters of your right to self-defense and your right to free speech. And they are a great, great brand of your morning pick-me-up. I have ADHD, so I need caffeine for my dopamine to function, to have any sort of motivation. So, and Blackout Coffee is a great treat that I help myself to every so often. So, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and so will you. Use the discount code in the description. Click on the link in the description, and use the discount code there to save some money, and we'll get started. A collection of tweets about the topic, and wokeness says America last versus America first. There's the former occupier, the resident, Biden. I made it. I never called Biden the president during the 4-year occupation. Now that we have a real president who was clearly and legitimately elected, I'm not sure, but we still don't have a legitimate government yet. We're still under the United States corporation. We may or may not be, whether the Patriots have abolished that behind the scenes. We still haven't woken up that. A lot of people don't even know what the United States corporation is. It was something that was foisted on us in, I think, 1874. Supposedly, the British Crown took us back over, and we've had a phony puppet government ever since. And that's really been the case in Ukraine. Ever since 2014, Ukraine has had a puppet government installed by our deep state. Ukraine's real enemy is not Russia. It's the New World Order and all of its affiliates in every country, especially Europe, and especially in America's deep state. The puppet government in Ukraine, which was established in 2014, Victoria Nuland was a key player in that. Go ahead and if you're ever on Twitter, Look up Victoria Nuland in Ukraine, and you'll find a whole motherload of posts explaining what a witch she is. She was one of the she was a high-ranking member of the State Department under Obama, and again under Biden. But we're going to talk about Obama a little bit later. But so if you saw the meeting Friday, I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw enough to see that, yeah, Zelensky speaks good enough English, but he doesn't speak good enough, diplomacy. And everyone thinks he's a cokehead, so maybe maybe that has something to do with it. Chimeth Palapatia says that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Zelensky got bitch slapped for having a poor hand, for pushing the world to the brink of World War III, for not saying thank you for billions in aid, for campaigning against the president and helping his opponent in the election, and in front of the media for every American to see in real time. Yep. The Ukrainian ambassador, this is Nick Sorter, posting a clip. The Ukrainian ambassador covered her face when Zelensky continuously tried speaking over Trump and Vance in the Oval Office. She knows it's all over. Great job, Dictator Zelensky. So, Amina says President Trump allowed the media and the American people to get a glimpse of just how difficult Zelensky is to deal with. The level of entitlement and intransigence is striking given the precarious situation Ukraine is in. Elections might be the only path to peace. So let's actually watch this exchange. So JD Vance is talking. Turn the sound on and scroll back to the beginning. Nice. Yeah. Zelensky was talking over President Trump and Vice President Vance, interrupting them. And they were trying to forcefully, but gently, but calmly say what's happening. Florida Now posts the second pipeline has always been on the been available. It's the feckless German politicians won't turn it on. Do they want German business destroyed? So that's probably a lot of this has to do with oil and gas and energy. Russia has a lot of it. The rest of Europe does not. A lot of this whole, you know, This war was started not by Russia, but by the deep state players in Ukraine, and another affiliate of the deep state players are the so-called leaders of the European countries and NATO. NATO had a good purpose once upon a time. During the Cold War, NATO was formed. NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO was formed to keep Europe from being taken over by Russia. Unfortunately, Europe instead got taken over by the New World Order, which may be worse. Thankfully, President Reagan and Prime Minister Thatcher put a halt to communism in Europe. The Soviet Union collapsed, all the communist regimes in Europe collapsed, and all the former communist countries of Europe got a new start. Ukraine should have gotten a new start, but it's had a monkey on its back ever since the 90s. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I think this is a parody account, but let's see what it says here. I want to open up the whole thing. This tweet risks being reported and restricted, but I see a necessity to say it out loud. Our real enemy isn't Russia or Ukraine. It's not even China. It's the ones who induced and tried to perpetuate wars, so they can launder billions of our money into their own pockets. It's the ones who funded revolt and instability all over the world via USAID. It's the ones who have committed unspeakable crimes on children on an island and held themselves above the law. It's the ones who manipulate people with endless propaganda using our tax dollars. It's the ones who have sown so much division among our own people. It's the ones who have shot my dad, my uncle, and the real Donald Trump in the head. It's the ones who have poisoned our own people for years just so they can profit more. They're the same group of people. And we will not stop until we splinter them, the deep state, into 1,000 pieces and reclaim our country. So maybe this is... this is the real RFK Jr. Okay. RFK official. But yeah, RFK Jr. spells it out plainly. The real enemy is not Russia, Ukraine, or even China. It's the it's the New World Order, the cabal. I have several names of the same body blob. The invisible enemy, the cabal, the New World Order. They all might be just different names for the same thing, or they might all be different tentacles of an even deeper or higher ranking organization. Maybe you could call it the 13 Families. You can call it, the Khazarian Mafia. The Khazar was a kingdom back in the Dark Ages and Middle Ages, where Ukraine is now. They weren't ethnic Jews, but they practiced the Jewish religion. And a lot of people say, it's these non-genuine Jews who are really behind all the world's troubles. I like to say that every ethnic group has its own criminal element. The Italians have the mafia, the Japanese have the Yakuza, the Mexicans have their various gangs. It's not fair. Anti-Semitism is grossly unfair to all Jews because it's blaming all Jews for the crimes of a select criminal organization that happens to be Jewish. It has to be the world's oldest criminal organization with the deepest influence and perhaps, ties to Satan and the forces of darkness, but it's a criminal organization nonetheless. Publius has this to say: can you believe how horrible Russia is? Here's a list of atrocities they have carried out. Killed U.S. journalists in custody. Banned 11 opposition parties. Jailed political opponents. Forced conscription, snatching men off streets. Named U.S. citizens on enemies list. Canceled elections under martial law. Banned opposition media. Restricted churches. Alleged ethnic cleansing. Released neo-Nazis. Arms trafficking rumors. Tortured POWs. Crushed civil liberties. Oops! That was Ukraine, not Russia. Yeah. As far as Russia and Putin, the The mainstream media, the corporate media, has been thoroughly discredited. The Democrats and the rhinos, the Uniparty, they have been thoroughly discredited. All of the individuals clamoring and talking shit about Putin have been discredited. So I wonder if Putin's not that such a bad guy at all. I posted that on Facebook, and I got a response by some liberal um, associate of mine. He said, "Where'd you there's been so much information. So, did you hear about Putin throwing people out of windows?" I asked, "Where'd you hear that? ABC?" He said, "Not ABC, but it's on Google." And I said, "Okay, Google." Suffy has another point in addition to that. Suffy says, "I want you guys to convince me, someone born after the Cold War, who was in elementary school for 9/11, why I should hate Russia. I don't care about Ukraine. Give me a real tangible reasons to hate Russia in 2025. If you can't without pulling a Cold War, then I suggest you go get some fresh propaganda from the Ukraine tards." Yeah, because, Russia was bad news during the Cold War. Don't get me wrong. You want to talk about the threat of nuclear war now? We were like scared back in the 80s. Like I was an 80s kid. I remember communism. I remember watching, the A-Team and clips of Rocky 4. I didn't see Rocky 4 until later, but I've never seen the whole thing through, but Cold War propaganda was hype in the 80s. Thank God we had President Reagan, who proposed a missile defense shield and got the Soviets to take it seriously enough that they spent themselves into bankruptcy trying to counter it. The reason we won the Cold War was there were several reasons for it. One, we had Radio Free Europe sending propaganda and messaging to the Eastern Bloc countries, teaching them about freedom and liberty and justice and all the Western ideals. We also had President Reagan, who stood firm against Gorbachev, and proposed the missile defense shield, called the Strategic Defense Initiative, and got the Soviets to send themselves into bankruptcy. Russians are master chess players, but Reagan changed the game to poker. And Margaret Thatcher, who was the British Prime Minister, for her part, she got the countries of Eastern Europe not to give up their nuclear weapons. There was this movement called the Nuclear Freeze, and it was exhorting people, "Oh, we need to have world peace. We need to dispose of our nuclear weapons." Thatcher said, "No, that's a trick. It's a ploy. You need to have weapons in order to defend yourself. The communists want us to disarm ourselves so they can take us over more easily." For her part, she held up Western Europe's defense. And then you had Pope John Paul II of the Catholic Church. He was supporting like dissident movements, mainly in Poland, but also in other countries behind the Iron Curtain. So Reagan, Thatcher, Pope, those three were the triumvirate, the trio that brought down the communist bloc in Europe. But since then, Vladimir Putin, he was part of the KGB, and then probably the Russian FSB. He knows how to be an operator, how to play hardball, how to deal with enemies. His moral convictions, his moral stance, we got a glimpse of that during the Tucker Carlson interview, but I don't think he's a communist. I think he just cares about making Russia great again. From what I've seen, Putin cares about, the old Russian Empire before the communist takeover. So he wants to restore Russia's dignity after the terror of communism. Back to the current day, Mama in Kentucky says this: there was a Ukraine president who tried to make peace with Russia, and Obama said no. Likely the one the CIA overthrew. Talking about Victoria Nuland and probably her backup in the CIA. The CIA are masters of overthrowing governments. The Azov would have had to be imprisoned for war crimes. I believe they were guarding the biolabs, criminal activity by Burisma, organ harvesters, etc. So yeah, Mama in Kentucky is referring to the Azov Battalion, who are the alleged Nazis in Ukraine. There's the biolabs. We've just established that there was a biolab in Wuhan, China, that's responsible for COVID. There's been chatter throughout, the not among the normies, but among those who pay attention to this sort of thing. There are biolabs probably in all sorts of countries, but plenty of them in Ukraine. Criminal activity by Burisma, that's, Hunter Biden. The whole reason Trump got impeached in his first term was he was digging around on that. So, now, 40head, he's responding to Colin Rugg. Colin Rugg says, here's the full 50-minute conversation between President Trump and President Zelensky. There are a lot of politicians claiming Zelensky was ambushed. There was a full 40 minutes of dialogue before the fireworks started. The president insisted throughout the first 40 minutes that he was focused on peace. Zelensky responded by strongly pushing back on a ceasefire with Russia and demanding that Putin pay for the entire war. J.D. Vance jumps into the 40-minute mark to clarify the difference between Trump and Biden and their approach to the war. It's apparently ticked off Zelensky, which is when the fireworks started. So the full 49 minutes and 53 seconds, we don't have time to listen to it now, but those of us who were old enough for the Iraq War and the War on Terror, we were told, we have to fight our enemies and make sure that they don't fight us on our own soil. And we were told, if you're not willing to fight for American ideals, that's appeasement. That's what Neville Chamberlain did with Hitler. I used to think that. I was in full support of the Iraq War. I was never in the military, but I supported, things from on the information war side and the trying to support things like what did I do to support the troops? Am I a hypocrite? I know the military wasn't taken because I have my medications, but I have lots. I know of several people who were in Iraq, and I just thought we were doing the right thing, and I was misled. We all were. I mean, the anti-war types, they had a very, they had the totally wrong reasons for their opposition. They thought there was no good option at the time. And we all thought Ron Paul was just some obscure representative. Now that we saw in Trump's first term how you can make peace with hostile nations through tariffs and economic force, that totally undercuts the reason to use force of arms. How do you make peace without appeasement? Through tariffs. But back to what 40head says here. 40head, I read this whole post, and he's got a very good point. Only those who know what to listen for will hear what really happened in the meeting today between Trump, Vance, and Zelensky. Donald Trump got Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, to admit that he made personal deals with Barack Obama and with Joe Biden. Those deals are in some way responsible for him refusing to declare or honor a ceasefire with Russia. Those deals prevent him from seeking peace. Zelensky came from an acting career and Broadway type shows. He went straight into the presidency without any type of experience in politics before being elected. That was May 20th, 2019. Do you understand the problem? Obama was president until January of 2017, leaving the White House almost 2.5 years before Zelensky was elected in Ukraine. So, if Zelensky made deals with Obama during Trump's first term, Obama would have been violating the Hatch Act, unless Trump gave Obama permission to make such deals on behalf of the United States. I'm fairly confident saying we know Trump would never do so. So either Obama was illegally making deals with Ukraine while Trump was in office, or Obama was making deals with Zelensky while Biden was in office. No matter when Zelensky made those deals with Barack Obama, you must realize that Obama was not the president of the United States when he made those deals with Zelensky. But here's the biggest problem for sure. Not one time in all the press, in all the media, or on all the internet has there been a single statement or story or report that Barack Obama met with Volodymyr Zelensky. Not one time did the media ever document that Obama even met with Zelensky. Not one time did Biden state or allude to the idea that Obama had been asked to represent the United States in talks with Zelensky or with Ukraine. Whatever meetings and agreements that Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine had with Barack Obama, they appear to have been made without government oversight. Whatever deals were made between Zelensky and Obama were made in total and complete secrecy, and apparently were not supposed to become public knowledge. Zelensky slipped Friday, and boy did he get caught. Zelensky admitted that he had made deals with Obama and that Biden had backed whatever deals Obama made with Ukraine. Not one single American citizen even knew that Obama had met with Zelensky. Not one American citizen knew that our tax dollars were paying for an agreement that Obama made without our knowledge. Hundreds of billions of dollars that Biden sent to Ukraine, the billions upon billions of dollars that our Congress sent to Ukraine, were apparently all sent in order to satisfy whatever agreements Barack Obama made with Volodymyr Zelensky, behind closed doors, in complete secrecy. So, what does this mean? Obama had no official business making deals with Zelensky under America's constitutional republic. Now, did he have that authority under the United States Corporation? Did he have that authority under the New World Order? You see what's going on here? Set aside the United States Corporation with the New World Order. There's what Zelensky just admitted to was there seems to be some other power besides America's constitutional government acting inside America and around the world. So that's huge. Clandestine says Zelensky just gave Trump a golden ticket. Now Trump has the options to shut down all aid to Ukraine, turn up the heat on the investigation into the money laundering, and negotiations with Putin just got easier. This was a massive turning point for public perception of Ukraine, and I'd argue we are now closer to peace now that Trump no longer has to worry about being seemingly supportive of Ukraine. He can come to terms with Putin, and Zelensky will remain at the kids' table while the adults determine his fate. Today, Friday, the veil was lifted. So, yeah, we don't have to pretend Ukraine are the good guys. We're not ready to say Russia are the good guys yet, but I, for one, have seen suspicion that, yeah, I mean, during the Cold War, and even after the fall of the Soviet Union, during negotiations with Western powers, Russia made it clear that NATO cannot expand beyond, certain borders, certain countries. Ukraine was one of those countries. If Ukraine was made part of NATO, that was unacceptable to Russia. Russia, under Putin or Boris Yeltsin or Medvedev, they made it plain. They told us outright that was unacceptable. NATO tried to expand into Ukraine anyway. NATO started this war, not Russia. Clandestine again says Zelensky is a dead man walking. He has two options: surrender Agree to ceasefire. Trump finds out where the money went in Ukraine, and he's a dead man. B. Don't surrender. Trump shuts off all support. Putin takes all of Ukraine, and he's a dead man. Pick your poison. At least option A will spare the lives of many innocent Ukrainian and Russian soldiers. But no matter how you slice it, there is no scenario where Zelensky survives this. Zelensky just dug his own grave in front of the entire world. Yep. We don't have to pretend Zelensky's a good guy. Patriot Lady, she's responding to Tucker Carlson. Let's read Tucker Carlson's post first. One of the most striking things about yesterday's Zelensky press conference, Friday's Zelensky press conference, was Lindsey Graham's reaction to it. The two were old friends, but Graham disavowed him within the hour. This was more than just transactional disloyalty. It was scapegoating. Lindsey Graham knows what's coming. Over the past 3 years, with the tacit support of its Western patrons, the Ukrainian government has committed a remarkable number of serious crimes. The Ukrainians sold huge quantities of American weapons on the international black market at 20 cents on the dollar. These weapons are now in the hands of armed groups around the world, including Hamas, the Mexican drug cartels, and the forces now controlling Syria. God knows what the Ukrainians have done with the pathogens in American biolabs in their country. Even U.S. intel agencies aren't sure. Ukrainians have also murdered a number of people within various countries in political assassinations, and try to murder others, including American journalists and a European head of state. This is all true, and it's all going to come out at some point. Better start blaming it on Zelensky now. So, Patriot Lady says, I can agree with Tucker Carlson more. Graham and Zelensky are old friends. Lindsey Graham turning on Zelensky within an hour is sending a very loud message. This is more than transactional disloyalty. This is scapegoating. Ukrainians have sold American weapons on the international black market to Hamas, Mexican drug cartels, and the forces now controlling Syria. She's repeating things that Tucker said. But then she adds, it's all going to come out eventually because it is true. Graham has got to have someone to blame. For our sake, I hope this all helps take the warmonger Lindsey Graham down. So yeah. All these members of Congress, senators, representatives who are clamoring for war, I don't think they were elected fair and square. They were fortified. They were installed. Just added to the pile of the United States corporation. But piece by piece, we're exposing these bad actors, the enemy within. Now, Tucker Carlson's mention of the biolabs and the who knows whatever diseases they've cooked up and are now loose around the world. That brings me to another sponsor for this program, and that's the Wellness Company. I'm a proud referral partner to this great group. I've got my medical emergency kit. Who knows what diseases and viruses are out there? You know, there was Peter Hotez on MSNBC saying, "Hey, as soon as Trump's inaugurated, there's like pandemics galore out there, a quademic even." Fortunately, if you go watch my locals video, my most recent one, there's all sorts of simple ways to combat viruses. One of them is ivermectin. Ivermectin is like unbelievably powerful and safe and effective, despite what the media says. You can get med kits like the emergency medical kit or the contagion emergency kit or the kids emergency kit or the travel. All of these have ivermectin and a whole lot of other affordable forms of medicine to deal with just about anything the cabal can think of. So go ahead, click on the link in the description and use my referral code to save, I think, like 10 or 15% off of your order. And if you were ever bullied into taking the COVID vax, either by your friend group, your family, or your employer, there's an answer to that too, because they've come up with the spike support formula, the ultimate spike detox, and a whole lot of other cool supplements for just about anything. The wellness company also has virtual care visits. So if you don't trust the medical establishment to deal with whatever issue you have, go on the wellness company and set up an online appointment with one of the wellness company's, alternative doctors, and get the straight information. Wellness company is taking the fight to the medical establishment, trying to fight outrageous healthcare costs, the pharmaceutical industry. I'm very happy to be a partner with them and promote them. So get prepared, get your wellness kit, get your emergency kit, whatever you need. Use the link in the description. Save yourself some money with my discount code, and be prepared. Now let's continue. This post is from Rob Roos in the Netherlands. He says, "We, the Dutch." Here, I'm going to open the whole thing. He says, "We, the Dutch, held a referendum in 2016 to stop Ukraine's integration with the European Union. The Dutch people said no. We rejected the European Union Association Agreement. But our Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, ignored us and signed it anyway. If he hadn't, we wouldn't be in this mess. And now, the same Mark Rutte is our Secretary General of NATO." Mark Rutte was also the Prime Minister who tried to shut down Dutch farms. Like, I covered this a year or two ago. There's a huge protest in Netherlands over farming, and I think like all under the pretense of climate change, trying to curtail farm production, raising cattle, the Green New Deal, what have you. Mark Rutte is a snake. He's another elected leader who was not really, who was fortified. Let's turn to Kaneko the Great. This first thread, Kaneko the Great says, has a thread here. We're just going to see how many posts are in it because I don't know if I want to read the whole thing. We'll just read the intro. Russia's invasion of Ukraine was provoked by NATO expansion and a U.S.-backed 2014 coup, according to 3 decades of leading U.S. military and foreign military policy experts. Ambassador George Kennan, Ambassador Jack Matlock, Senator Joe Biden, Senator Bill Bradley, Senator Sam Nunn, Senator Gary Hart, Senator Gordon Humphrey, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, Defense Secretary Robert McNamara, Defense Secretary William Perry, Defense Secretary Robert Gates, CIA Director William Burns, CIA Director Stansfield Turner, Professor Edward Herman, Professor Noam Chomsky, Professor John Mearsheimer, Prime Minister Paul Keating, and Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser. In this thread, I'll dive into their warnings, showing how this reckless policy enriched the U.S. military-industrial complex, reignited the Cold War, and pushed the world closer to nuclear catastrophe than ever before. So, and clip of the Joe Rogan experience. So we don't have time to read the whole thread, but Kaneko the Great goes into great detail on how all these experts explained. Yeah, Russia was the one who was provoked. So Kaneko says here, for decades, CIA directors, defense secretaries, senators, and ambassadors warned that the U.S. and NATO were provoking war with Russia. In 2014, Obama and Biden backed a Ukrainian coup, along with Victoria Nuland. In 2016, the CIA began building 12 Ukrainian spy bases. They wanted the war. Now, why would they want a war? Why do they want World War III? The same reason they forced the vaccine on the COVID shot on so many people. Why they created biolabs. These people saw the Holocaust. They saw the whole Holodomor. They saw Genghis Khan said, "Hold my beer." These people are anti-human. They want depopulation. I don't care if YouTube, if you want to shut this video down, fine. I get more views on Rumble anyway, but that's the truth. We're dealing with sick, satanic, psychotic sociopaths. Wall Street Math says someone ordered the top leaders in the EU to all send the same exact post with identical wording. Are they so stupid that they thought nobody would find it odd they were all using the exact same wording? Who ordered them all to do this, and why did they obey? So Valdis Dobromovskis, your dignity honors the bravery of the Ukrainian people. Be strong, be brave, be fearless. You are never alone, dear President. Ursula von der Leyen says the same thing. What country is she from? I've heard of her before. Roberta Metsola copied and pasted this. Antonio Costa, president, says the same thing. So yeah. So now that Trump has a reason to stop American money to Ukraine, European leaders are saying they're going to pick up the slack. They're saying, like Keir Starmer in Britain, says, UK is going to support Ukraine. We're going to get to that, I think. I think I have a post on that. But let's go back to Chamath Palihapitiya. They say, watch this video. It has some important details about what led to yesterday's incredible video with the White House. 1. U.S. sent Bessent, he's the Treasury Secretary. U.S. sent Bessent weeks ago to Kyiv to get his deal signed. Zelensky said no. I'll sign it in Munich. 2. U.S. sends J.D. Vance and Secretary Rubio to Munich. Zelensky stalls and says, I'll sign in Washington. 3. Zelensky shows up at the White House, feels emboldened, and chaos ensues. If nothing else, this makes the ground for an audit of all the aid sent to Ukraine a very likely outcome. All my MAGA friends on Facebook have been clamoring for an audit of the Ukraine money, and here it comes. To be fair, Zelensky must be under tremendous pressure. It's a very unenviable position he's in, and it's a very weighty responsibility to both defend your people and fight an invading army. But frankly, knowing this, between him and his key staff, they need better planning and restraint than what was displayed. All we saw was brewing for weeks, then ignited in front of a U.S. president who was elected, in part, because of zero tolerance to be part of any war of any kind. Zelensky made his bed yesterday. He is clearly under severe pressure, but that was a major blunder. So, yeah, we're going to watch this. It's only a minute long. This is Secretary Dissent. Yeah. So what Dissent is talking about here, the deal, was the mineral rights you might have heard of. In order for Ukraine to pay us, America, back for all the billions of dollars we sent to them, Donald Trump wants access to Ukraine's minerals. And I don't know if I saved that. I don't know if I bookmarked that post or not, but a mineral deal serves multiple purposes, not just paying us back. It also gives a non-military American presence in Ukraine, which will hopefully keep Russia from out of it. Coming back to clandestine again, Zelensky's debacle is not just the end of Ukraine. This is the beginning of the end of NATO. If Trump cuts off all funding to Ukraine, the world is about to quickly realize that NATO is nothing without the U.S. Without the threat of U.S. military and access to U.S. taxpayer money, NATO becomes substantially less powerful and arguably irrelevant when compared to the nuclear superpowers like Russia and China. Without the threat of the U.S. military and our nuclear capabilities, NATO loses all value. Their security guarantees will become next to useless. If the U.S., under new management from Trump, were to abandon NATO, the globalist war machine would lose their ability to operate and would eventually cease to exist. Pictured below are the current stats on NATO spending. Without the U.S., NATO is nothing. We don't need them. They need us. So yeah, this blue in the pie chart, this is the USA's monetary contribution to NATO. Here it is in line graph, in a bar graph form. America effectively is NATO, and we are Europe's sugar daddy. Disruptor. Let's read a muse for this part here. Essentially saying what Secretary Bissett said. Secretary Rubio just got rug pulled. Zelensky assured him the mineral deal was locked in, and Rubio confidently told the president it was a done deal, with Zelensky visiting the White House to sign. Instead, Zelensky shifted the goalposts, demanding U.S. ground troops, knowing Trump wouldn't agree. Zelensky is not an honest broker. Yep. And Disruptor has this to say about the whole thing, and we'll wrap it up here. Take a screenshot of all the Americans on this app and throughout the streets of America who wave the Ukrainian flag in support of Zelensky in Ukraine, and you will know who are the liberal traitors, neocons, soft-hearted fools, and communists are. If they all love the Ukraine so much, let them and their children go and fight Russia with Ukraine. As far as I'm concerned, they are the new Confederates and insurrectionists who put Ukraine first and Americans last. Don't let these elites, liberals, and rhino traitors fool you. They are not American patriots. They are the enemy within. Zelensky threatened the American people yesterday, and I take threats very seriously. That means that all the people of America who support Zelensky in Ukraine are a major threat. No more games and shit talk. This shit just got real. Act accordingly. That's it. That's the post. Yep. Either, if you're supporting Ukraine after this, either you're not paying attention, you've been hoodwinked, and you've been conditioned, and you need deprogramming from the cult, or you are an enemy of not just America, but liberty, life, liberty, and justice themselves. So, and YouTube, if you don't like that, like I said, I get more views on Rumble anyway, so have at it. Okay. I hope this was informative for you. Like I said, if you find this content valuable, please like, share, and subscribe. And click on the links to locals for my analysis on Make America Healthy Again. And treat yourself to some blackout coffee and really get prepared with the Wellness Company. So I will let you go. I'll leave it at that. I'm a houseman letting you go, and I want to let you know, more than ever, it's okay to stand up for yourself. Over and out.